Hello, welcome all to Actual Play Girl by Moonlight. We are playing some great games here, and tonight we're going to be playing what I just said, Girl by Moonlight, because that's the thing. I'm Sean, the host of tonight's of the channel tonight, and with me above me is Andrew, the sometimes game developer and internet role player person, and MC and designer of this game. Over there is Andy, who is a cast member here and playing Abbott. And you can find her on the interwebs as Fictional Mammal on the Twitters. And over yonder is Strash, who gave me the nickname Hug Bear because as his project manager on a game that he's making, he says that I like to hug, but then sometimes I squeeze like a bear. Strash is, that was about me, I'm sorry. Strash is one of the two designers of Scum and Villainy, which, if things go right, will be going to print next week. Very excited about it. It's another Forge in the Dark game. So, but on Forge in the Dark games, Andrew, what are we playing? It's been a long time. Remind us how the game works.
Okay, so way back in 2015 or something, John Harper had a twinkle in his eye, and
oh dear,
Blades in the Dark was born. So yeah, we're
Keep
playing
going.
Right? Specifically the series playbook on a Sea of Stars, which is all about the engines and the Leviathans and the battling there between. And in our case, y'all are the defenders of the last bastion of humanity, which is this massive, ancient, vaguely not Byzantine, Mesopotamian kind of megastructure thing that has the remnants of humanity kind of in it as refugees, and the Leviathan Defense Force, or LDF, of which y'all are members, holding the line against the weird perversions of nature that rise up from the ocean and crash against the barriers. And last time, y'all had just finished up fighting some Leviathans and coming back and having press conferences and debriefs and tense emotional moments in corridors where you saw the deaths of your friends, or like, what was it? Sean's character had a vision of a world in which Ipsos was, or Abbott was just dead.
Yeah, well, in which Abbott's sister had taken her place.
Had actually killed her, yeah.
Yes.
And all kinds of uplifting stuff like that. And so we had, in terms of like our position in the arc of play, we had just started a new episode. We did the obligation phase, and then we stopped there. So we'll be going into downtime, and everyone will get to do some downtime activities, and then we'll do another mission. And I don't know about y'all, but I was really excited about the idea of y'all doing a mission in the Bastion rather than in your mechs, because we have the option of exploring the ruined world, I believe is the name of it. Yeah, explore the ruined world. Explore the world beyond the Bastion or within it, looking for information, solace, and hope. So we could have some scenes where we actually get to see this thing that you're protecting and the people in it and stuff like that. And
it sounds great.
If my memory serves me correctly, that's what we were kind of veering towards. That said, I am flexible. I can make up nonsense about any old thing that y'all want me to.
Josh, there's not enough cat on screen.
Sorry. I just really will not go away. As a matter of fact, you can't see this, but out of the corner of my eye, I see her returning.
Yeah. We need like 75% cat presence at any given time.
Gigi.
That's right.
She's like, this is where I live. Yeah, my little guy decided that there was somebody on the couch, so
I guess we know who's second best.
Yeah.
Sean, the second best lap.
All right, yeah, I'm also stoked for maybe doing a non-mech mission, which would be fine.
It would be neat to, as a result of this, learn more about the Bastion and the world in the context in which we exist. I think that's a really lovely opportunity that I have like a growing curiosity about. So,
yeah, I am all for that. I think we've only seen little snippets of a lot of the NDCs, of Landgrave and of I'm
I've got the
forgetting
whole list here.
names,
There's
but
Ystera,
Beaumont,
which is Abbott's sister.
yeah,
Who is your enemy, Sean, of your character.
mm-hmm.
Warris, who is Signy's like squire, essentially. He's like your technician that supports you.
Yeah.
There's Bantam, who is a captain of one of the other squadrons, who is always really shitty to Abbott. There's Beaumont, who is the state-sanctioned bookie and like quartermaster on the base with y'all and is a friend to Abbott. There is Zyra, who is the ex-pilot of the Chariot and was Reyna's friend before she died and is still Reyna's friend now that she is a ghost. And then there is Nono, who is the kind of team manager, who is good at her job and thus constantly in conflict with Reyna, who is a hot-headed, very intense personality.
big feelings.
Yeah. And then, yeah, there's Landgrave Hildar, who is your kind of commanding officer and is a, like, very wounded veteran of many conflicts and, like, a former pilot, but none of the engines respond to him anymore. He can't pilot them any longer. Some dark past that perhaps will be revealed in a subsequent episode.
I feel like wounded veterans is a thing that you got a beat on, Andrew.
I like having characters who have suffered a lot of trauma and are still somehow around. Those are always my favorite in any like TV show or anything.
Yep.
That's life.
I say this as inside baseball because in the game of the Republic we were playing, Andrew was playing a wounded veteran.
Yeah, that's just my character.
I don't mean to. The inside baseball
Honestly,
is now outside.
The parallel between those two kind of happened on accident, but in both cases it's because I wanted to make sure that there was some representation of like people with disabilities, etc. Like there was just a bunch of
it's good stuff
motivating me to want to include these themes and these characters. So yeah. So we're in downtime, which is y'all getting to have some time to yourselves. And we've talked in the past about wanting to, like, how I really want to keep these timelines very tight in terms of like how big of a span that the downtime happens within. Mm-hmm. As an example, from a piece of popular pop culture cinematography here, the moment between Oscar Isaac and John Boyega in the first of the new Star Wars movies, where the like John Boyega has like showed up and Oscar Isaac is like rushing to his X-wing, and the two of them have like that like bro moment in passing. That's a good downtime action right there to me. Like that kind of pacing of like just this little moment between two people that means a lot, and then they gotta like hustle on to do another stuff.
Sure.
Not that they all have to be that short, but that was my little note to myself, was like, that's a cool scene.
Yeah. Well, that scene, like a lot of scenes that are well edited, leaves something unfinished. It's like not all the answers are sorted out. That people don't keep talking until they have nothing to say. They talk until the absolute earliest that the editor can cut. It's like, okay, and done.
And yeah, that playing that at the table takes a certain kind of attention, and like, I think discipline is a little too highfalutin a word, but like it's hard to actually play those scenes out just off the cuff. But that's something that I aspire to. I'm not going to get mad at anyone for going long or anything like that, but just those shorter and more compressed in terms of the overall span of time, I think is a good thing to emphasize here.
Punchy.
So this could be like, if the mission is going to be something where we're in the Bastion, this is like while y'all are making your way back there. be that with the like flagship going there itself, or with y'all like taking a little shuttle or something to it, helicopter or whatever it would be. It would probably be either a boat or a helicopter when I think on it. However y'all want to frame it, totally up to you, but this is kind of the steps and spaces that I am seeing.
Will you, so we can put some scenes that might get us in that direction, will you remind us of the downtime actions that are available?
Why, yes, certainly. So you can work on a long-term project. You can help someone recover from harm. You can social link with someone, which is where you hang out and do cool friend stuff. You can investigate darkness, which in our case is replaced with make preparations. So anything that you can do to get the Bastion, the other pilots, all these institutions and structures ready to deal with the next Leviathan attack. And the last special edition we have is you can bond with an engine, which is where you kind of hang out and have buddy time with one of these big giant robot things and develop a bond with it. If y'all are planning to do a mission where you're not piloting an engine, there is not much to be gained by bonding with one.
Right, because those bonds go away at the end of the session, right?
Yeah, they're per episode.
Per episode.
So, yeah,
all bonds do, actually, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Right. There is still some of that episodic formatting stuff where there's kind of the hard reset at the end of episodes for a bunch of the mechanical bits.
Cool. Does anyone have a downtime action they want to do?
Not off the top of my head, so if you want to take it away, go ahead.
Sure. I'm going to do a social link with Raina.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Last time we left off, Raina and Prophet were, I think, yelling. Oh, I think Raina was yelling at Prophet, and Prophet was speaking calmly as she
yes,
could.
That
I recall a helmet getting thrown.
Yeah.
Some crying?
I think I called you a monster. I told you were worse than the Leviathans.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. So that's why I want to be buddy. That's why I want to be friendsies. In the vein that you were talking about, Andrew, I think this is going to be a scene that's taking place while something else is happening. I'm imagining. I'm going to go with helicopter because it's really loud.
It's a perfect place to have a conversation.
Yeah. As we're flying, from the Eldia, from the, what's the name of our floating island?
Conclave.
The Conclave, yeah. As we're flying from the Conclave to back to the Bastion, and we're not packed, but we're in a helicopter with several pilots. They're all going back. Some, I think Bantam and their crew is probably there as well. And we all have helmets on. And so we can talk over the comms through the helmets, because you can't really hear one another. Prophet reaches out and touches Raina's knee to get her attention. I think she reaches across the bench. There's two benches facing each other.
Yeah, you two are facing each other.
Right. And we're kind of, everyone's just sort of looking around, and she touches her knee and sort of taps the side of the helmet to say let's switch channel.
It's totally one of those things where you're channel 3, and then you
right taps the helmet and goes 3 to see if
can I add just a couple of small details here?
Sure.
I think probably when we're getting on helicopters, there's 2 of them, and I'm going towards the one that I'm assigned, and when I see that you're on there, I try to go and switch with someone on the other. I want to do that, but I see the other helicopter taking off, and then I'm like, ugh. So I've been sitting there pointedly glowering and not looking at you.
Right. That's why I had to tap your knee, right? Because you're
when you tap my knee, I like glare at you and I say nothing, but like my hair like shifts to white for a second, you know, like the flames like heat up. And then I like, you're like, you know, 3, and I'm like, and then I like click it over and then like cross my arms and childishly look out the window.
And I think like the way I envision Prophet talking is like softly and really like and really full of riddles and elusively, but like that drives me crazy. So I'm gonna give like the slightly simpler version of like, imagine she's saying this in a somewhat obnoxious prophetic way, but Sean doesn't have patience for that shit. I say, when you do click over, I say, we're going back to the Bastion where the monsters are worse than the ones we fight outside. I don't want to fight you while we're there too. I don't think there's any reason for us. If you want, if you don't want to be on my team, I'll file a transfer with Landgrave. If that's what you need, but I don't want to go there with you as my enemy. If that's what it takes, I'll. And you could tell that she's like concerned about like the scary part is not fighting Leviathans and big engines. The scary part is going and talking to people on the Bastion.
So I think Reina's hair, like usually it's like this vibrant like red and gold, right?
Yeah.
And I think it like dims and turns kind of like bluish.
Blue,
like,
yeah.
This is like a pilot light.
When you're turning down the gas stove, exactly.
And she looks at you and she says, I think what she says is Prophet, you spend so much time already knowing outcomes that you forget that we as people get to make decisions about our own goddamn lives. If you don't want me as an enemy, maybe consider actually asking questions or talking to us once in a while instead of just telling us how things are.
But I already know.
Do you? Did you know I was going to do this? And she slaps you.
Nice. I think like that's the cut right there. It's like the slap and like the spittle or maybe a little bit of blood like hitting the front of her little mask.
It's probably not that hard. I'm not trying to like actively put you in a hospital.
No.
I'm trying to shock you into understanding that maybe the things that like I know as Strash, obviously, that you have these visions and you believe them to be true, and they may even be true.
Yeah.
But as a person who is driven by emotions and reactions, Reina very much wants to believe that she is in charge of her own destiny. So she thinks that you are full of bull poopy and
yeah. I dig it. Okay, cool. No, but I'm totally happy with that as like like the attempt to connect ends in the slap. Perfect. It's good.
There's like a bunch of feedback because you hit her.
Yeah, exactly. Nice, awesome. What do we roll at the end of a
so
scene?
So we've already done the bit where you kind of describe what the two of you are doing together.
Yeah.
The next thing you need to do is ask Strash if this is something that Reina would enjoy.
Oh.
Which doesn't have to be like, yay, this was fun, but just like, was this like a good interaction? Was the apology and the subsequent face getting slapped?
Sounds kind of good.
I was going to say, on one hand, Prophet is still being kind of weird and prophetic. On the other hand, slapping Prophet does make me feel better.
I mean,
so I'm gonna say yes for now.
Cool, awesome.
So in that case, you'll get an extra die, Sean, and then you roll an action that is appropriate to the fiction that you have described.
Yep.
And based on your successes, Strash is going to mark social link.
I was thinking confess. Prophet was trying to tell you what her real fears and her real concerns, and hoping that you would share them. That is, yeah.
Yeah.
Does that sound good to everyone?
Sure.
Seems legit.
Confess, and I got a bonus die. Nice.
Okay, so on a 6, you get 3 social links with
Sweet.
Signy/Prophet, however you want to record that on your sheet.
Yep.
And you can cash those in later for everything that is listed on this handy dandy handout that is integrated into our background here, just for
Nice.
for your convenience.
And
also dandy.
I should let everybody see that. Whoa, there's the roll. Sorry. I forgot to switch over the little 20 screen.
Also notable on the token, the top bar here is Reyna's stress, and then the bottom bar is her transcendent actions. So when we get into stuff, you can see how much gas is left in the tank for all your buddies once we have all those tokens set up.
Hey, Andrew, I don't see a handout.
It's just on the background of the... I see.
Right. There it is. Cool.
If you see my token above it, there are 2 bars.
Yeah, no, I was talking about the links handout, but it's right there in front of me in the Roll20 background. I see.
I tried to make it as straightforwardly easy as possible.
You made it so easy that there's no documentation on it because it's too easy.
Whoops. I just thought it would be obvious. I mean, it's just what I thought. So who wants to do a downtown action next?
Talk to me about where we are. I don't see a clock right offhand for progress on the observatory.
Oh yeah. Let me just haul you all over to the crew sheet where this stuff is recorded. So the clock for the flagship upgrade is down in the bottom left there.
There it is.
And it's at
I've not been hauled. Oh, because I'm logged in as a GM.
Yeah. So if you're a GM, you got to bring yourself over here.
I'll bring myself
over
do
to
it.
the crew sheet.
Don't
look at my super secret MC sheet, okay, Sean? Secrets.
It's very secret.
Shouldn't have made me a GM of.
So yeah, it's at 1 out of 8.
Right. Forever. Okay.
And yeah, as always, there's room for us to like cut backwards and forwards in time. So like whatever physical place you need to be in and things you want to be doing to advance that clock, if that's what you're thinking of doing, we can fit that in.
Great. I have a related question, which is regarding repairing the engines.
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like?
So you can help them recover just as if they were a fellow player.
You help somebody else recover.
Yes.
Oh, you don't recover yourself.
Yep. Other people got to take care of you in this game.
I should point out that I have level 2 harm.
Yeah.
Just in case that becomes relevant to people. What
is your harm, Josh? What is Reyna's harm?
I am slashed.
It's also important to note that Abbott cannot help.
So yeah, you can't help people. I think it's totally fair for you to help Leviathans recover because they're not people.
Engines, you mean?
Or sorry, engines. You can help
they're the
Leviathans
same.
recover too. Basically,
they're
not
the same.
So yeah, if you wanted to repair an engine, it would just be equivalent to helping someone recover. Which you roll, you advance their healing clock. They have a total of 4 segments in their healing clock. So that'll be recorded next to each of the engines in the hangar on this sheet.
Awesome.
I'm also totally comfortable because you took the advance where you have free ticks to assign to long-term projects and stuff.
Yes.
Those are a project clock like any other. So if you wanted to make a roll to see how you do and then dump some of your free slices in there to round it off, I think that's
great.
Legit.
Great. Now that is exactly tells me what I need to do, which is Abbott is going to as soon as like, so we've got all this really tight like timing on what's happening in an order. Like there's not a lot of, in fact, like breathing room in any of this. Yeah. Like, so as soon as there's enough of a beat for them to get cut loose from all the grossness of like all the media press, Abbott will like very swiftly eat a meal and will immediately go back to set her hands to repairing the magician. That's she's not going to waste any time with anything else.
And we previously described the magician was like holding its arm. It has like four arms, but like some of its arms are cradling its other arm, and it was like rocking itself, like it had been kind of traumatized.
Yeah.
So there was some like structural damage, which I think the like repair crews and stuff are already working on, but that it's like, or maybe they can't because it's so upset and it won't like let them see its arm or something. I think there's maybe a scene of that as you approach, of like some of the technicians trying to like get at where it's injured and it's like blocking it and they can't pry its hand away.
Yeah. I think Abbott will, as ever, ignore everyone else who's there and go through the process of the magician. Describe the magician for me.
So from what I recall, it was a humanoid thing. It had like 6 arms or something. And it wasn't like big and brutal or anything like that. It was a little bit more kind of willowy. It had a big like cloak, like a shimmering kind of energy field thing that it would manifest around itself. And so I think right now it's like cradling its arm, and then its like cloak thing is
like
wrapping it up, like it's
enshrouded.
Yeah, like it's
okay. Yeah.
And the technicians are like, a bunch of them are like scratching their heads or chins about it, basically, and like they're trying to like figure it out. So 2 of them are like arguing on the main deck, and then some others are like up there with tools trying to like work on things. And the engine is like, there's a huge like scaffolding around it that's its berth that it sits in, so that the crews can like go up and get at all the various parts of it. And so it's standing upright. And the magician always like floats just a little bit off the ground. It never actually like touches down.
Great.
And so it's kind of suspended there, bobbing slightly as like a little bit of a wave or something.
Lovely. Abbott's going to walk up the other set of the other side of the scaffolding from where the technicians are working, and we'll just make a point to walk up the scaffolding and like climb out, like put a hand on and like go through the process of climbing out onto like the magician's like not wounded shoulder, like in the crook of the magician's like a bent arm.
And I think when you touch it, it like grumbles at you a little bit because it knows that this is your fault.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit disgruntled, but all of the engines like you enough that they would never like hurt you or like
right.
That. But there's like this like low like shudder, and the air kind of vibrates and thrums for a moment, and you know that it's cranky.
Yeah. And Abbott will just sort of lean in and be like, "Yeah, you've had a bad day, and it's my fault."
And then like one of its hands like comes over to like form a bridge to the scaffolding so that you can actually like cross on.
Great.
Yeah. And are you just like talking to it? Is that how you repair it?
I think Abbott's gonna just acknowledge like it was a bad day and be like, yeah, that was hard. Like, I wish we didn't ever have to do that, and like make space for the magician to be sad and grumpy and hurt. Abbott's also those things, right? So I think there's just a lot of like, not without trying to turn it into it's all about me. Abbott will be like, yeah, that,
yeah, you're just like making space for it to like feel things.
Yeah, and bear witness.
And yeah, in the way that these things do, where they don't speak, it kind of communicates its sensibilities to you. And I think when you're inside of its big cloaky field thing, there are like waves of emotion that just kind of like wash over you, and you actually get these, like you feel it as if it were happening to you. And it like even though you were there, it like tells the story of it. There's like this whole, like arc that it emotes at you.
Fantastic. And Abbott will like very avidly and gently like wants to listen and buy in and maybe ask clarifying questions or echo that back, right? All of our good manners around talking and being in communication with people. So
as expressed to the engines.
Yeah, and the like work crews all like stop working and are just like staring at you aghast and like, what is she doing? What is that weirdo doing?
Right. That's what.
Well, cool. You can roll some dice.
Great. I'm into it. I feel like that's a whole lot of empathize.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you were definitely doing that thing for sure.
Just a smidgen. Great. What other decisions do I need to make here around all of that? Roll empathize and see how it goes. And I always, I'm good on the procedures.
Yep. So you're gonna roll empathize.
Great.
There's no particular way to get bonus dice unless you want to push yourself. Like if you feel this is important enough to take some stress for, or if you have any abilities that would give you extra for helping people recover, which I don't know if you have that.
I don't feel like I do, because the reason that Abbott is able to talk to all of the engines is because of that things feel move. So it's not like anything on top of that from that move. So I'm going to go forward and I'm not going to burn the stress and we'll see what happens.
Great. So yeah, you can just roll empathy. You don't need to worry about position or effect.
Great. Boom.
Cool. So it gets two pieces of pie.
Yay, delicious pie.
Healing pie.
Halfway recovered.
Great. And that being the case, I am going to put those 2 project ticks, if that's halfway there.
Yep.
Abbott will spend, I imagine it's like what looks like the rest of the night.
Yeah,
and that
you actually stay up and don't sleep.
Yeah, I think that's great.
The move is called again.
When does she sleep is the name of the move. And I love the idea of like Abbott wandering around at all hours doing inexplicable things. And so this idea of Abbott being like in like communion with the magician, with all these folks watching who variously may or may not ever give up, like watching them do nothing.
Yeah, I think at a certain point, the magician like relaxes and stops like being so clammed up, and so the crews can actually like get at it and repair certain parts of it. You have to like hang out with it until they're done, which they pull an all-nighter getting it.
So coach the magician through.
Right.
Yeah, you have to hold its hand, as it were.
Great. Happily. Yeah. And I have an imagining that most of the crew's relatively like far away, like because the magician is big, even though they're not huge.
They're on the other side of it, which is like.
So I have a sense that they don't like. This is exactly the thing that Abbott wants to be doing, and I don't know that anybody except the magician knows that.
There's an element to which this is like therapeutic for Abbott as well.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's very important.
And it's so, like, you're in this like muffled, weird emotion space with it.
Yeah.
Well, great. Boom.
It was like real good stuff, and also like draining stuff too. But by the end, yeah.
Emotional labor is labor.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, who's next?
I'll have a go.
Yeah.
I think like Rena, like Nono may actually be happy for once, because like Rena vanishes after that helicopter lands and like actually does the things that she's supposed to do for some period of time.
Yeah.
Which usually I'm problematic about doing all the things that I'm supposed to do when I'm supposed to do them. But I actually like throw myself into interviews and other nonsense like that. But I think it's some like odd hour of the night when Prophet actually gets a knock on her door.
She's up.
Cool. And I think Reina just like, as soon as you open the door, she gives you the like, I'm doing a thing look, and then starts marching down the hallway.
So you came into her. This is on the Bastion. This is like wherever we're stationed there. You just like knocked on the door.
If we're on the ship, it could also be your quarters or whatever.
Yeah, cool. But you came to her quarters and then like basically made the like follow me kind of.
Yeah, that is totally how you would interpret it. Reina didn't say a damn thing. She's like, and then like started just going. But yes, that is essentially what I'm trying to communicate here.
Yeah, I think it's perfect. It's like when she opens the door, Prophet is fully dressed. Like it's late at night. She should be in her like nightgown, and she's totally not.
I look even grumpier than I should.
Yeah. And she kind of nods and comes and follows after. Follows like just longer than slapping distance, right? Like just like out of like.
See, we're getting to know each other already.
She's walking behind you, but not right behind you.
So I think Reina takes you to like whatever gym / training area that we normally have.
Yeah.
Because like pilots have to train outside of mechs.
Oh yeah.
And I think this is like a very Pacific Rim moment where she like pulls up 2 fighting sticks and goes, "Okay, I have to figure this out," and she like throws one to you.
She catches it. Yeah.
Cool. And I think this is one of those things where she's testing to see how prescient you are, right? Like, she doesn't talk about it. She doesn't explain it at great length, but she's gauging your reaction times and trying to sort of like understand how you're integrating your prescience into what you're doing. Now, I have no idea if you're perceiving this as like Prophet is acting like with a view of time in a particular way. I don't know if you've like seen this moment ahead of time because you were dressed, right?
Yeah.
Or if you only have like long-term visions and you get smacked about the head a bit. But that is the sort of thing that I'm trying to ascertain for myself, right? Like I am trying to understand how you live your life with this like one moment ahead of time point of view.
Yeah, and in Raina's mind, the best way to find that out is to like hit Abbott upside the head with a stick to see if like she can catch her off guard. To be like, well, maybe you don't know everything.
Exactly. But yes, because Raina doesn't. Her capability for comprehension is oftentimes rooted in action. She like doesn't talk so much as she does.
Yeah.
So yeah. That I mean, of course that's nonsensical, but it's also 100% in character as far as I can tell.
Yeah. Yeah. So like Signe like absolutely goes along with it. Like when you're like, let's spar, she doesn't like fight you on it. But she doesn't take like a particularly aggressive stance because she doesn't normally anyway. And I think a lot of the like initial things are a lot of like block, step back, like dodge, block, counter strike, but that you might block as well. And I think we should find out like when it gets heated, when it gets tense, when like Reina like pushes it, what then happens? Like I think in the beginning it's kind of not very satisfying.
You know what I love about this? There's this like myth that I love in like wuxia that's about like learning about somebody through their fighting style.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you fight somebody, you can only know someone's true soul by like fighting them or some nonsense.
Absolutely.
But like we're kind of embodying that whole trope. Cool, awesome. Do you want to go down to dice? Do you want to like? I'm okay with just deciding. Like if we just want to narrate, that's fine too.
Yeah, I think I am totally happy. Reina is the like alpha, kick-ass, hotshot, kick engine pilot. Like she wins this conflict, right? Like she, like I think Prophet holds her own fine, but when push comes to shove, in like
Cool.
when they're flipping each other and doing all the stuff, like at some point it's Raina that comes out on top. Absolutely.
I think what it is she tries to put you in a scenario that doesn't have a perceived exit condition. It's like a checkmate in a combat where no matter what, like it's Xanatos Gambit, right? Like no matter what action you take, you're going to end up in a hit. And I think that last hit may be a little like too hard. Like it's obvious that she's practice fighting, not like trying to murder. And I think that the hit, like just because of like the placement or whatever, actually like hits a little too hard. And I think at that point, she like actually drops her stick, goes, "Oh, I'm sorry," and like actually like I think there's probably like a smash cut to like 5 minutes later where you're sitting against the wall with your like fighting sticks next to you and you're drinking like a juice box or something.
Because we're kids and we totally drink juice boxes. I love it.
Well, they have your like ration that you get that's in a little like Tetra pack or whatever.
Yeah.
It says with 100% of vitamins that, you know, a growing pilot needs. And it's got like one of our faces like on it.
Yeah, the gym has like a little shelf with like a bunch of these in it.
Right.
For weeks.
Yeah. So you said a very specific thing though, which is interesting to me, which is you try to put her in a position where there's no like outcome that won't lead to, you know, her getting hit in this case, but it's that you try to make it so that she has no options, and or not, you succeed. Absolutely. Yeah, I think Raina totally does that. I think part of the reason why you end up smacking her harder, unless you really wanted to do it intentionally, is that Prophet totally freezes. She like completely stalls when she realizes that there's no way to go out. And like when she's like, she was fighting you, and then suddenly, like when you get in that position, she just chokes, and you know you would expecting she was going to block, and then you'd hit her in the knee or something like that, and it's just like clonk right across the head, because she's faced that situation before and didn't know what to do, and still doesn't know what to do. So, So yeah, I dig it. So yeah, she's
so
like,
I think there's just like there's a moment where like maybe you're holding an ice pack and
totally
just chilling after this like exercise routine, and she actually like asks, she says like, "How do you live never making choices that you haven't already made?"
It's not about making the choice. It's about getting to the moment where you're ready to understand why you made the choice.
Can you truly care for people if they never surprise you?
Well, obviously never isn't correct.
I think she just stands up, takes like the empty juice boxes, puts the swords away and throws them in the trash, and then goes padding back off to her like sleeping quarters. So this is Raina's attempts at social links. Apparently they involve violence.
That's fine. That's great. It's great. I mean, and like, I don't know if Raina took it as such, but Prophet was definitely trying to like warm up to her in that last bit of like, well, obviously I don't know everything because you caught me off guard. Like she's admitting in a rare moment that like she's like, I don't know, right?
So
I
there's
don't know everything. Just like 98%.
98.9.
I don't know yet if this tells Raina that she should just blow off Prophet's prophecies because they're not 100%, because clearly things are black or white in her mind, or whether this is the kind of thing where it just confuses her because she lived her life believing in complete free choice. Then for a split second, she lived her life believing in complete prophecy, and now she's in this like weird gray zone, and Raina doesn't like gray zones. It's either black or it's white.
And the thing is, like, Prophet is so if only you had someone else you could talk to about this, because Prophet is so useless with regards to like reassurances in this regard. Like, I think she's the least reassuring person, not out of callousness, but like she can't not live her existence. She can't not be in the reality that she's in. Like, she doesn't know how to.
So I think this is social links, obviously.
Yeah, I think so.
And the question that I have for you is, did you enjoy it? Which feels weird and perverse, but according to rules, I'm required to ask it.
Yeah. Was it satisfying to Prophet? Okay. Prophet is fated. She's traveled through time to prevent Reyna from becoming the gatekeeper. Reyna will become the gatekeeper and be trapped eternally with the Leviathans if she truly manifests as her perfect form and like becomes the greatest warrior of her time. This is perhaps distracting her from reaching her potential because she's confused about Prophet's role in all of this, and she might not fight as hard because she might be distracted. So yes, Prophet enjoyed this.
All right, excellent.
Sorry, had to walk through that logical step of did this get her Reyna closer or further away from eternal torment?
That's what it's all about for Prophet, is what we're learning here.
That's what it's all about for Prophet with regards to Reyna. I mean, she's at the moment, and maybe as we play, this will become more nuanced. But at the moment, she is just trying to avoid a horrible outcome for Reyna that she sees as unavoidable. So if she can disrupt that, cool.
You see it as unavoidable for someone at least, right? Like someone has to do this thing.
Yes. So someone definitely has to do it, but it's.
And you would rather it be you than her.
I mean, that's what I did for an eon, right? I was trapped in it, so it's not fun. Yeah. So cool. Go ahead and take that bonus die.
So let's talk about an action here. I'm not 100% what action I took. I just rolled with some fiction, but I feel like I was trying to express my feelings and maybe talk to you about like this whole scenario and connect with you.
Yeah, I think in the idiom in Reyna's idiom, all of the fighting was a setup.
The fighting itself was a conversation.
The fighting itself was I think if the fighting itself was a conversation, then the action expressly doesn't let you use it because it's only with words. Okay. And maybe
that sounds fine.
We should reconsider express being able to be used with actions too, because I think you definitely expressing yourself with.
I mean, I like this notion of that being part of the conversation, and like the words at the end matter to me more than anything.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so
I
feel like express fits here.
Cool.
Personally, there's definitely an argument for flow, but
perceive was the other one because I'm trying to read you and understand kind of like what this whole thing is about. Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm throwing things out. They're all one die, so I will roll.
I think perceive makes a lot of sense because it is specifically perceiving someone as they are, not as you want them to. Like perceiving someone and trying to accept them for who.
Like without judgment would be
without judgment.
So.
And that's an attempt to not have judgment, right? It's not.
Yeah.
Judging is a very natural thing.
We are
real good at it.
We're real good at judging.
So yeah, however you want to characterize that, Strash, is the other thing, right?
I think I set it up as perceive.
Cool.
And I roll a 5, which means that you will get 2 links with me, I believe is the rules.
Yep.
Yes.
And the links we can use to. We can't use links to help you recover. We can use links to help you.
You can shrug off the harm tag for the duration of their transcendence.
Yep.
So as long as Reyna stays transcended, she won't suffer the negative effects of the harm. You can use it to recover stress for either you or the linked character. You can spend a social link with someone to help them without spending stress or needing to like have fiction that justifies helping them.
Right.
And if Reyna ever rolls a 4 or 5 result on an eclipse roll, you can spend a link to prevent her from falling into eclipse. You can keep people at that precipice.
Cool. I dig it.
And so, yeah, most of the stuff goes outward. So you spend links on someone else to give them benefits, but the one exception being stress. So you can recover stress or they can when you roll.
Very
Right.
cool.
For that.
Awesome. And I think that comes back around to me, even though it was in the last scene. And the prepare for badness happening move.
Mhm.
Prepare the bastion. What's its level at right now?
Yeah, so readiness is at 1.
It's not
Out of-
that's not a good number.
yeah.
Right. And readiness always gets reduced after a mission.
Halved.
It goes down by half. Yeah.
Half
Round-
rounded up. So, but we roll our readiness when we start the mission.
So it
Or
affects your engagement roll, and then also if you just ditch and don't actively protect the bastion, it rolls readiness to see how much bad shit happens.
Right. Okay. And what's the
so
next?
Right now it's rolling 0 dice.
Yeah.
If you get it up to 5, then you'll have completed the first tier. It'll get to roll 1 die.
All right. So I need to add 4 ticks to the readiness in order to get us to the next level.
To like a good safe zone.
Obviously I can't get 4 ticks. Is
Nope.
anyone else interested in working on readiness?
Yep.
Okay.
Andy's
cool.
going to do that because Abbott doesn't have a lot of options in terms of what downtime activities she can do.
Right. Then I propose. Okay. Well, so to try and get maximum efficiency of downtime actions, I want a scene with Abbott and Prophet debriefing on the last Leviathan attack and going over with Landgrave. And actually, it wouldn't make any sense for Rainer not to be there as well. But debriefing with Landgrave in a unofficial capacity.
Because we could flash back to the briefing after the mission if you want.
Right.
To do that.
Yeah.
Or
No, I don't.
Additional separate thing if you want. Yeah. Either one is good for me.
We had talked about the idea that Landgrave Hildar was going to very likely seek us out outside of that debriefing, because the debriefing was very impersonal and defunct, perfunct, excuse me.
Yeah.
That was very much had nothing really to do with us.
And I think he probably has some questions too about like what really happened down there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I want to find Landgrave in a informal setting. I mean, I don't know that he ever like lets his guard down, but rather than
he has like an office, which is very exceptional because he's the commanding officer. So he has like Captain Picard's little, room,
ready room
or whatever. He has one of those.
Yeah.
In some, important. It's like right next to the big command room.
Right. I think I'm having a little bit of confusion about like what things are what. So I imagined a lot of the stuff that we had that was related to Leviathan defense was on the Conclave.
Mm-hmm.
And back at the Bastion, do we have a base there as well? And
because you're not meant to interact with the broader populace,
right?
Because you're Leviathan sick and it could contaminate them or whatever,
right? So we're still cordoned off while we're there.
But yeah, there's like a compound there, and so while the crew is there, I would imagine that.
Yeah, so I want to have this at the compound. We've
okay, yeah, totally.
And yeah, and so it's just to show some passage of time, like the sun is cresting, and we're seeing it like pierce through the windows of his office, and when definitely Prophet, but if they're available, she would be seeking out Abbott to talk to Landgrave about what the hell happened out there with the Leviathans. And if Reyna was around, she wouldn't say like specifically you need to come to talk to him, but like the invitation would be open.
And I think
That makes sense.
like he wants to talk to y'all as well, so maybe he
Right.
would request or order or whatever your presence even.
Issue an invitation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, his office and this compound are like on the kind of outskirts of the bastion because it's meant to be like, you know, you deploy from there. It's not in the heart of things. And so I think it's like this building that's nestled into one of these like massive stone struts that come out from the like kind of pyramid-y bastion thing, this like monolithic stone thing. And so yeah, the sun is like just starting to dip behind one of those, and it's really like orange and dusky and comes through the blinds of his office, which is very like, it's like a modern building built in the shadow of this massive stonework.
Right. Nice. And I'd kind of like, you know, I imagine he has, I'm just playing this up more because I feel like it. I imagine he has an assistant, somebody that does a lot of administrative work for him. And so is like, he opens the door to be like, summon, you know, the pilots to talk to me. That like, there we are.
Yeah. You're already there. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
And yeah, the like admin assistant is just like, they're here, sir. And Landgrave's like, good. And then just like turns around and goes to sit down.
Right. And so, yeah, so I want to work on, I think it's more of a montagey scene. I don't know that we actually have to say the words that we're saying, but like, I want to work on understanding better how those Leviathans that were sort of one Leviathan split into two, A, how that happened, and B, what that told us about, you know, their sort of motivations, that this one really wanted to fight us less and sort of re-synergize more. And I specifically brought Abbott because she understood better than I think the rest of us what was going on. She had
this
with
like
them.
Moment of revelation about what was going on. Even if it wasn't like why exactly what was going on, it was at least the nature of it.
And just and to make things, you know, sort of spooky, Prophet is like, this is one of the signs of the Leviathans advancing, is like, you know, and she quotes something out of like old lore of like, and when they were in two places, and you know, and what, like, because she was in two places at the same time with Reyna, and the Leviathan was in two places at the same time, and it all went really, really bad. And so that's her contribution to preparing us. But
cool.
Yeah. Great. So when you make preparations, describe how you are, like what you are doing, and we've done that. So you're going to roll an appropriate action. We're going to advance the track based on the result, and then I'll do some description, and you can also ask me some questions from your gathered info list.
Awesome.
So we'll be able to get to the bottom of some shit a little
bit. Because this is gather information based, I think my Oracle move works. You could see myriad of timelines from the past and the future. When you gather information, get +1 effect. If it relates to your fated person, also take +1d. Is that accurate? Would that apply in this case? I don't think it relates to my fated person, but I do think I am gathering information. If the role is a gather information role.
Sorry, I'm talking while muted. If we want to bump your effect level up, I think that is fair. You're using your like prophesizing to help make preparations, right? You're being like, this bad thing is going to happen, and I know because of
because this is a sign of that
stuff. Yeah,
returning.
Totally. Yeah. So in that case, a 6 gets you 5 ticks. A 4 to 5 gets you 3 ticks, and then the worst you can do is 2 ticks.
Cool. That's probably what I'm gonna get. So I'm glad I got it.
Is there?
Mm-hmm. Optionally, if other members of the crew want to help with this role, you can spend a stress to do that. Like I feel like because of the nature of this fiction, everyone is equally well equipped to help because this is about like talking about an experience that all of you shared.
Great.
Yeah.
And that could
I
be
might be
efficient.
down for. I have an idea for this, Andy. Do you?
Do I what?
I have an idea for how you can help because I think this is you can spend a stress for an extra die, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like one of you can.
Well, you
one
have
stress
3
to help.
social links with me as well, Strash. So Raina could help without even spending Strash if you want to spend a link.
If I recall, social links are used to clear 2 stress. So I think I'm just going to go up to stress 5, and I'm going to actually provide them with some suggestions based on like I mentioned that one of the things that I've done previously, like with the magician, but I can't do anymore because obviously I can't pilot the magician, is like it has like the capacity to like make spears, and I come up with some suggestions on how to handle like slightly longer range targeting. So if we get like random splits or things that are appearing inside the perimeter, there will be like the kinds of weapons that can either slow them down or pin them until we can get to them. Does that make sense?
Right. So you're getting into like a very tactical, like how do
Yes.
we deal with this
Right.
mindset? And meanwhile, Prophet is doing like all this mysterious, like it's gonna be the end of the world. And you're like, okay, but how do we kill the end of the world?
You know what? You know how you deal with the end of the world? Giant spears.
And
Giants.
Abbott is trying to be as close to the door as possible.
Giant stone spears. Cool. I will gladly accept that help. Thank you. I'm gonna roll confess. I think that's what I'm doing right now. I'm telling what I know.
Yeah, I feel like pretty much anytime you're prophesizing
Yeah.
in this way, it kind of falls under that confess space. If you're just like, I know stuff, and then people are like, cool.
Yup. All right. Let's see how that goes. Oh, dang.
Let's see. So that is a 6.
That's effectively a crit, and that's the second die was the 6. So thank you very
Nice.
much.
The help was helpful.
The help
Hell
was
yeah,
helpful.
spears.
I think
Spears.
it's if you can prophesize a threat, I can theorize how to fight a threat. Is ultimately like how our powers combine.
Form of
Prophecy. shape
prophecy and theory.
of Fiery fight girl.
Yeah, so that does, since that's +1 effect, that's crit, so that's 5 ticks. Which I did not
And
expect to get.
so we get to do some gather info questions. And I think since you got a 6 and your effect is increased, you can ask me a question and a follow-up question, and I'm gonna give you good answers instead of slightly mystifying answers.
Awesome. And the questions are on the playbook.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is sort of a retroactive question because this is what Prophet would have said about this, but it's relevant because we did that with a voiceover. What do I remember about? Well, let me look at the others. What's already much here? Okay, yeah. What do I remember about these Leviathans? About a Leviathan? I just said I remember having this happen, but Sean doesn't because I'm just making
So like, what does Prophet remember about Leviathans like splitting or being
Leviathans? Yeah, I think that there was something to say about how they were divided and it caused them some distress, and that it didn't seem like it was intentional. So like what do I remember about Leviathans having kind of unintended developments like that, of that nature? Does that make sense? Am I being too vague?
So yeah, what do you mean by unintended developments?
Like, I don't think the Leviathan wanted that to happen. I think
No,
that
it definitely
was like,
didn't.
Was like.
So are you asking about? So you have posited the idea that this is a sign of the beginning to amass like an attack. So are you asking about like do you zoom out a little bit about like what are some of the signs of these attacks, or like things
Yeah,
like
I guess
that away
it's like what
about it?
happens next in my memory of this. What did happen after? Um,
Okay.
Maybe a better question to actually ask, because I don't know the nature of their splitting, is what really happened here.
Nice.
And so in the course of describing this stuff that happened, at one point, Hildar like has this moment where he seems to like something jogs his memory, and he brings up a little like data paddy thing, and it shows, he like brings up some images which are familiar to both Prophet and Abbott, because they are in the style of those like wall paintings and stuff that we described
Yeah.
back in the first episode.
Mhm.
And it's a depiction of like what we, the audience, can tell right away is it's Prophet and some other warriors defeating that exact Leviathan that y'all fought. It's like the same one. It looks the same.
Right.
In the depiction of it, though, it's one thing with two heads.
Wow.
And then the like subsequent like panel is it being imprisoned inside the like heart of the bastion, where eventually Prophet herself was also
Imprisoned,
like, put in place. And like Prophet, I don't know whether or not you share this with others, but the like memory of doing that comes back to you, because I think your memory of the past is really like patchy and weird because you spent 1,000 years or
stuck in this timeless state. Yeah.
Thing. And so you like relive that experience when you see these images.
This is the first time Abbott's been real avid about something, is like having busted this out, and it's like peering over, like Hildar's like
in the space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And meanwhile Reyna is talking about like using spears to like in the drawings we got to use the spears. And it connects into everything that's been described this far. But yeah, you were there. You beat this thing once already.
Yep.
And then somehow it has like come back, but in this fractured state. And so what this might be a sign of is that all that work you did back in the past is imperfect or is coming undone.
Right. Yeah. I took it to mean that it's undone. I mean, I've been released from this prison of time as well, right? Like this.
So maybe it's not just you.
Yeah.
But that it has changed them somehow as well.
Right. Instead of being two-headed, they're now split. Cool.
And you can ask me a follow-up question.
Would the method that we used in the past to contain them still be possible? Still be viable? With now that they're two?
I think the answer to this is manifold. One, that presumes that the things, the like prison, the box, the whatever,
is
still intact,
and
functional, which it might not be. Someone would have to remember how to do it.
Yep.
Because that wasn't like expressly your job. You went out and like fought them.
Yeah.
And then
right.
someone else like contained them. And like clearly there has been a change. And so whether or not the old ways will work 100% is unclear to you.
Yeah. So I think Reyna might finally get the satisfaction she wants. Is just like watching Abbott be like, but I don't get it. Like it doesn't like
Tor, not Abbott.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Tor, not Abbott. Prophet. No. Signe. What's my character's name?
There's many.
Yeah.
Who am I?
Yeah. As she gets more and more emphatic about it, and more kind of like Reyna in terms of like being like very emotional and direct, when you're like, let's use the spears, and she's like, yeah, let's use this, like, let's, like, she's because what's clear is like the things that she sort of rests her laurels on is like, well, this is the way that we did it, and this is what needed to be done. It didn't work, right? Like it worked for a time. It worked until it didn't work anymore. And so there's this part of uncertainty for her, and that uncertainty is upsetting.
Anxiety and tension in you with this?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think there's probably actually a moment where like Reina puts a hand on your shoulder. And if you look at her, she just says in this, like, she looks at you with almost, I don't know, sympathy is the wrong word, but maybe like, it's yeah, probably. And what she says is, don't worry about it. Now you're just like the rest of us and we'll all figure it out together. Like, just because you don't know all the answers doesn't mean we won't get it done. I mean, most of us are playing without that deck of cards.
Cool. I like it. I don't have a good response, so I think that's a good cut for that scene.
In a thing that only Abbott gets to see, and the soundtrack like pitches to be more ominous, when Hildar puts the datapad down, it like tabs to the next image, which is of the weird like prison box energy thing, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's like images of the new establishment, like studying, modifying, working on tech onto it.
Yeah.
And Abbott, you like see this and look at it, and then Hildar just like flips the tablet over when he spots that that's what it's showing. He just like,
nice.
Can't have him seeing that.
I wanna posit the idea that it's not showing up, and it's like off the edge of Roll20, but the tower that we have on this Roll20 screen is the center where that. See if I can get that onto the. No, we just barely get the edge of it. Never mind. But I envision that as like the big prison or whatnot, the big cage and all the. We have a couple more downtime actions, but we've been playing for a while, and I wondered if y'all would like to take a break before we
take a break.
Awesome.
Break.
Awesome. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us. We'll be back in 5 or so. Later.